So the attitude of impartiality is like a parent who treats all of their children the same. You know, if you have children, more than one child, you know they're really different. And some may be really easier than others. Or some may be more problematic, and so on. But a mother or a father with their children has, or at least hopefully has, impartiality, that if they're problematic, they just try to help them. They don't not like that child, or like that child less because they have some kind of problems. And so we should be like that with each other, like a parent who treats their children impartially. So part of this is just recognizing that everyone has the same needs. We tend to think that our needs are more important than others' needs, or our life is more important than others. You know, like when they report plane crashes like in Asia or something, they always say, and there were 3 Americans on board. Like, you know, like the Asians don't really matter, but the Americans do. And so that's it, you know, that's our tendency, is to feel that some lives are more important than others. And this whole movement now that's begun of Black Lives Matter, you know, that there is this prejudice thinking that those lives don't matter as much as white people's lives. And so that not only extends to human beings, but also to animals and insects. You know, that we think as human beings, our lives are more important, so that we should just kill those things that get in our way. I remember when I first became a nun, and I became a nun before I became a Buddhist. I didn't actually know what I was becoming. You know, it was just one of those things that happened, and in those days, you know, this was 1970, you know, things like that happened. Now, I don't think anybody would ever become a nun without having taken refuge, or know what the Four Noble Truths were or anything. But anyway, so I did, and so I didn't really understand about not killing either. And so I was in my room in Swamboo, where I lived as a nun, in this little, I had this little tiny room, and I could reach out and touch the walls in every direction. And in that space, I had my kitchen, my library, my shrine, and my bed. And it had open windows, no glass on the windows. And so there were these bugs that would come in through my window. There was no way to stop them. And they were like those kind of little roly-polies, you know, those little gray things that kind of curl up when they're trying to protect themselves. And they didn't bite or anything, but I just didn't really want them. They would come in right by my bed, and so then they'd walk on me. And so I got this, some kind of, you know, chemical poison powder, probably DDT or something like that. And it was sort of had almost like a salt shaker. And so they would be coming in, and I'd kind of be, you know, like, you know, shaking this stuff onto them. And then they'd be dying. And then I'd sweep them up and throw them out the window. And so I was doing this one day when there was a monk friend of mine visiting. And I was like, you know, like salting the roly-polies, and he just said this one thing to me that was so like, oh, he said, you know, they want to live as much as you do. And it was like, oh my God, I hadn't thought about it that way. And so that, you know, I didn't think their lives mattered. And so I was just happy to sprinkle them and toss them out the window. And so our impartiality should really extend to all beings and valuing all lives.